So today I'm presenting ambient air pollution, health hazards and policy options for India. So we know that New Delhi is one of the world's most polluted city in the world. Let us see some facts and figures. So according to the World Air Quality Report 2021, this report is released every year, and India is home to 11 of the 15 most polluted cities in Central and South Asia in 2021. And according to the World Health Organization, that is 2019 figures are available for all the countries in their website. So if you take a 1 lakh population, per 1 lakh population, it is 82. That is 12th highest in the world. Death rate it is 82 per 1 lakh population. And New Delhi I have already mentioned. And the Sustainable Development Goal, this is one of the target, means substantially reduce the number of deaths and illness from hazardous chemicals and air, water and soil pollution and contamination. So this is one of the Sustainable Development Goal 2. So this slide shows the age standardized death attributable to environment. So it doesn't mean that pollution. It includes various aspects, environment-related aspects like injury, non-communicable diseases, infectious, parasitic, neonatal, and nutrition. So this is not strictly pollution data. So India is in the 23rd position per 1 lakh population, 315 age standardized death are happening in India. And see, non-communicable diseases 207. Actually, it is 2012 data, but it is slightly updated, but still the position of India remains the same. This is 2019 data. Even though it is not right to highlight this slide, since India is one of the fastest, India is one of the polluted second in ranking in the pollution indicator. So it is better to highlight per 1 lakh population, which comes in the next slide. But still, I am highlighting that second, India is at the second air pollution, ambient air pollution attributable death. These are the numbers. Okay, for both sexes, it is 8,82,000. For male, it is 5,04,000 something. Female, it is 3,78,569. Now we'll see the per 1 lakh figures. See, this is the 2016 data. 2019 data is already available. I could not find time to update it. But the position is almost the same. That it is 82, which we had seen in the first slide. That is 2019 data. Per 1 lakh population, it is 82. It's almost the same. Male population, it is 88 and 75. So this slide shows the burden of disease. Ambient air pollution attributable disability adjusted life years. Disability adjusted life years means number of years lost due to disability due to air pollution. Okay, so one DALI, disability adjusted life years means 1 year. Okay, so so for India, 2547 disability adjusted life years are lost due to ambient air pollution. This is another the same data by World Health Organization, where we could identify the different health hazards like lower respiratory infections. It is high, means ambient air pollution death rate is high. Heart disease also, it is high. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, that is also high. So these are just a classification of health hazards due to the ambient air pollution. Okay, so this data is available for almost all the countries. If there was time, I would have highlighted the live figures, means they have projected country-wise. Once we click on a particular country, they will project it is how much is the air pollution attributable death rate. Okay, so you all can access the link. It is Global Health Observatory data of WHO. Now let me come to the feasible policy option to solve the same. Okay, so presently India adopts command and control approach to pollution control. That means if some industrial units or establishment pollute, we directly go and close the unit. Okay, Central Pollution Control Board is doing this type of command and control approach. So there is no fiscal instruments at present on a comprehensive scale. Maybe some fine may be imposed, but that is not based on a apt criteria. So mostly around 80% we are just following a command and control approach. So the focus need to be that India need to be developed into a new transit city. Second option could be environmental fiscal reform in transport, energy, and waste generation sectors. Third policy could be strict enforcement of environmental regulations. And fourth could be promoting and adopting environmental friendly technologies and products. And fifth, creating environmental awareness. So we would see each of these points, each of these policy options, whether it is implementable in India. Okay. So next slide, we will go to what is transit cities. So the first policy option could be transit city. What is transit city? A transit city generally needs more emphasis on improving mobility and accessibility, improving public transport, reducing the number of private cars on road, with focus on time and location specific road and parking pricing. So this is followed in almost all the transit cities like Singapore, Hong Kong, Switzerland, and few other countries. They will give more importance for reducing the private cars on road and making services available in a particular area. For example, at Delhi, or take the example of Kochi, we have Cochin Metro. So if Kochi was a transit city, all the services would be, all the government services like that municipality services, panchayat services, paying tax, and all those establishments would be oriented somewhere nearby metro stations. So generally, why people use private cars? For convenience. Maybe services might be scattered, services might be scattered across different places. Suppose I need to go to a doctor and then go to market. And after that, I need to go to meet my school, pay some, I have to pay fees at school, or I have to attend a meeting at school, at the office or something. So if these places are, institutions are scattered at different places which are far away from the metro stations, then it cannot be termed as a transit city. So how we can reduce the private cars? Through making city a transit city, means services should be concentrated near public convenience centers. Not public convenience means public public transport and convenience centers. Maybe near bus stations, some services should be there, like metro stations or the near railway stations. So we may automatically reduce private cars. Another thing is imposing some additional amount, maybe some fixed amount while buying cars. Like in Singapore, if you want to buy a car, we have to deposit some amount. Like in India, it may be 5 lakh, but there may be some fixed amount, additional fixed amount we have to deposit in order to buy a private car. So, so automatically people may be hesitant to, unless and until you are rich, very rich, you may not buy private cars. So this is one. Next, improving the transport facilities, like public transport, improving the facilities there, improving the seat and all those aspects related to the public transport, and providing the facilities for walking. There should be separate lane for walking, separate lane for cycling. All those things need to be done. So this is transit-oriented city. So this is just a presentation. This is Littman 2006. He's a famous transport economist. So here, these are the transit stations, as I had highlighted. See, transit users would be benefited, like more destination near transit stations, better walking conditions. Transit operator would be benefited. How they will be benefited? Because more people would be using the public transport. They will get increased ridership, lower cost per rider. And finally, society also get benefit, that reduced traffic, reduced public infrastructure service cost, community liability. So I forgot to mention one aspect related to transit city. So transit city, like now we are going to implement in our India traffic-based pricing, means, or GPS-based tax collection. Okay, so why can't we do the something like if our car moves to a particular traffic area, then more tax would be imposed. So it is already practical in few countries. It is not yet implemented in countries. Singapore is in the process of implementation, but in India could also move in that front. So we may not go through the areas which are more traffic at maybe during the peak hours. We may deviate from that path and take an alternate path. Okay, so these are some of the components of transit city. So, next measure could be environmental fiscal reforms. So, environmental fiscal reforms. Just I am highlighting one of the Sterner 2002 slide, where subsidy reduction using market. There are different types of fiscal environmental fiscal reforms. So here we would be more focusing on environmental tax or eco tax. Because pollution tradable permits and all those, it is slightly difficult to implement in India. So just environmental fiscal, these are the market-based instrument. Then environmental regulations, what are the aspects we could implement? Engaging the public, more public participation, informed disclosure, and these are the components of environmental fiscal reforms. Now let us see, if we implement eco tax, there are two types of. It could have two components, means it could be revenue neutral and revenue augmenting. This measure could be revenue neutral measures or revenue augmenting. Like environmental tax generally involve three complementary activities. That is removal of existing taxes and subsidies that has a negative environmental impact, the restructuring of the existing tax in an environmental friendly manner, and introduction of the new environmental taxes. So these are the tax reforms complementary activities. Now, tax can be designed either as a revenue neutral or revenue augmenting. In case of revenue augmenting, the additional revenue can either be targeted towards provision of environmental public goods or directed towards the overall inter-revenue pool. So, in developing countries, the revenue can be used to a greater extent for provisioning environmental public goods. So, this is the difference between revenue neutral and revenue augmenting measures we could use with this eco tax. Now, evidence of environmental fiscal reforms. Internationally, eco tax are targeted three main areas, mainly transport, energy, waste generation, use of natural resources, and around 8 to 10% of the total tax revenues are collected through eco tax. So there might be a perception that, see, when we implement eco tax, it may result in inflationary tendency. Means generally the price may be general price will get increased. So if tax system is generally so this is the international experience I'm explaining. The green tax, there is a green line, there is a blue line. Okay. So green line is environmental tax as a percentage of total taxes, and blue line is environmental tax as a percentage of GDP. Environmental tax collection as a percentage of tax collection total taxes. If you see from 1887 onwards, the revenue is increasing. Okay, from environmental tax as a percentage of total tax, it is increasing, and after that, around 2010, the revenue collection, the total tax, environmental tax as a percentage of total tax is decreasing. So initially there was an increase, then decrease. Then environmental tax as a percentage of GDP, it is also slightly like that. So if tax system is environmentally effective in reducing desired outcome of reduced consumption of BAT, it leads to erosion of tax base itself, resulting in fall of taxes. So revenue, So reduced revenues could also occur because the system of eco taxes is in its infancy. So taxes on so this means that see, if the tax, the imposition of eco tax has increased in pollution, it would have been the alternate case. This green line would have shown an upward trend. So initially the revenue collection, because once tax is imposed, people pay tax, how much tax, then they thought that they have to shift to some alternate method of transport or alternate transport facilities. So they shifted there. Automatically the revenue collection has reduced. So environmental tax as a percentage of GDP also, it is showing the same trend. Once you see the next slide, it will be more clear. See, effect of environmental tax reforms on greenhouse gas emissions. If you see a few countries, Denmark, Netherlands, UK, Finland, Germany, and Sweden, greenhouse gas emission has got reduced. Means after 2000, 1997, maybe generally from 1997, it is increasing across jurisdictions. And few countries it's slightly increased, maybe due to some bringing more components into the eco tax front, like other sectors also bringing to the environmental tax, including other sectors also for taxing. So that might be the reason few countries in after 2003 it slightly increased. Then generally it is a decreasing trend from 1997 2000 onwards, strictly from 2007 2000 onwards. A few countries from 1997 onwards. So European experience, it has been a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. And other lessons is that other lessons are most of the taxes also generated substantial tax revenues. The lot of revenue, so much revenue was collected through eco tax. So this can be, and there is no evidence that the tax was used for the environmental friendly activity, but they could collect substantial revenues. And no evidence of the green, and so there might be some perception that once we impose eco tax, it might affect growth. But studies of the conducted in developed countries shows that no evidence of green tax leading to reduction in growth. Okay, it only negligible impact on GDP. Higher taxes would have resulted in more benefits, but feasibility and implementation dominated over the sustainable development aims. So these are some of the lessons. Now let us go to India's, how we can implement in India. See, fiscal benefits. In India, if we bring this eco tax, environmental tax, it could mobilize revenue, okay, and we could use that for reduction in the fiscal deficit, or fiscal benefits. There are fiscal benefits. We could use that for development expenditure, or we can orient it towards pollution reduction, means pollution friendly equipments, manufacturing of pollution friendly equipments, or that other environmental benefits. Then poverty reduction benefits might be there. We could use this fund for rehabilitation of the poor people, because poor people are the most impacted due to pollution. Means they might be living in unhealthy environment. They might so they are more affected. The various studies have clearly shown that poor are most affected due to air pollution and related aspects. As rich people, they might have that pollution, air purifiers and all those things automatically. So there are studies which shows. So three benefits are there: fiscal benefits, environmental benefits, poverty reduction benefits. And eco tax could be targeted in three main areas in India. One is transport through differential taxes on vehicles based on fuel efficiency congestion charges. Energy by taxing fuels which feed into energy generation, waste generation, and use of natural resources. So transport, like we have already have Basel 3, 4, and all those standards are there. So something like shifting into electric vehicles, or bringing more tax for this type of petrol or diesel vehicles. In the Delhi diesel vehicles, there are certain measures where diesel vehicles are charged more. There is certain heavy vehicles are restricted into a particular place. So all those measures are there. The Delhi government had started. So energy by taxing fuels which feed into energy generation, like coal, taxing coal more, which generates more pollution. Then waste generation and use of natural resources. So these are the three main areas where eco tax could be targeted. Then tax revenue can be generated through eco tax and integrating environmental tax in GST framework. So Madras School of Economics had done a outstanding study on this, how to integrate eco tax into GST framework. Long back they have conducted study. So this could be easily integrated into the framework. Next slide shows that Central Pollution Control Board already have data on the most polluting industries like aluminum smelting, basic drugs, pharmaceutical, caustic soda, and they could measure the how much pollution is done to the environment for each of these industries. Various scientific studies are there how we can impose the rate of tax across various industries depending on the pollution they bring bring to the environment, means how they pollute the environment. Then air pollution, two industries account for nearly 2/3 of the air pollution. Like cement accounts for 33.4%, iron and steel 32.2% of the pollution load. So they have the data, they have the scientific studies how to impose, how to decide on the rates of tax for different industries. So other simultaneous solution that like strict enforcement of, so with rather than strictly sticking to transit city, new transit city and environmental fiscal, there are other measures too. That is strict enforcement of the environmental regulation. CPCB with command and control combined with fiscal tools. Then promoting and adopting environmental friendly technologies and products. So the income generated from the revenue generated from imposition of eco tax could be used for environmental friendly manufacturing of environmental friendly technologies and products. It may create employment opportunities also. So maybe reducing the private cars may affect automobile industry. So many people may be losing their jobs, but then they could be shifted to environmental friendly technologies and products. So then creating environmental awareness. This is some other measures. So many programs are there for and creating environmental awareness. Now, possible barriers, challenges for implementing it. So like this might require minor amendment in the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1987, like bringing the integrating the rate of tax and that fiscal oriented measures. In just minor amendment is required, because strictly now there is no strict provision for implementing the fiscal instruments. So that a few sections may need to be amended. Then GST also requiring approval of Parliament, both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha with 2/3 majority, which is a time-consuming process. But if all the GST Council, first it should be agreed by the GST Council, and then the required amendments could be done through Finance Act. So this is practicable if all the states decide on it unanimously, and convincing the Indian states for implementing the same with the necessary legislation to be part of the state government, as it is a concurrent list of the Constitution. So here, producing states may be affected because they might be producing more goods and goods, due to which they have to pollute their environment. So GST collection would be at the consumption level. So some sort of means they should be compensated, in the sense the collection should be, the amount should be used for the environmental friendly technologies. So automatically the producing states would be benefited. That is what the study conducted by Madras School of Economics shows. So opposition from the public at institution for any measure in a democratic like a country like India, there might be some resistance in the initial stages. But once we used to that, means initially for any policy there might be some resistance. But this could be, or this may be one of the best solution for reduction in pollution in India. Already we are imposing so much taxes on petrol, diesel, and this thing. But that also should be integrated into a GST framework. And and then the target mechanism means the fund should exactly goes for the particular purpose. But now we are collecting amount through petrol and diesel and doing it for welfare activities. But then it would be better targeted if eco taxes bring environmental fiscal reforms is integrated into GST reforms. So this basically this idea is explained in this book, Environmental Policies in India. So it was long back, and I was in Environment Ministry 2012 to 16. I was in Environment Ministry. So this particular proposal we prepared along with my deputy economic advisor at that time. This book covers 3-4 chapters where what are the measures in India already adopted, how we can do it, which all areas should be taxed. So this is available in the market. And this section which I have explained, I means pollution, health impacts due to ambient air pollution. It is already published in one of the books, Global Health Challenges, first chapter, where it explains in detail how data, all this data is there, then how different type of this eco tax, then health impacts are explained in elaborately, and and a few other chapters are there, like mental health challenges, obesity, and then communicable diseases. So this is also is available at Amazon Kindle, but hard copy it is slightly costly in the sense it is published there and it is a color print. So Kindle, if you are interested, then you can read this chapter. It is the first chapter.